Right now at 6 o'clock, remembering Ross Perot, the self-made Texas billionaire and philanthropist, dying today at the age of 89 after what was revealed to be a 5-month battle with leukemia.
I think we've lost a visionary leader, someone who is really inspiring.
My goodness, he came to the office every day until maybe a week ago.
While the Texarkana native is perhaps best known for his presidential runs in 1992 and 1996, his impact in North Texas runs much deeper. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gilma Avalos. I'm
Doug Dunbar. The man loved going to the office. Well-known patriot, business, tycoon, family man, humanitarian. Put a label. Ross Perot was a larger-than-life Texan. His legacy, no question, will live on for decades to come. We have team coverage today. We'll get underway with Jack Fink right outside the Perot Museum in Dallas. Jack?
Well, Doug and Gilma, Ross Perot certainly made it big, but his friends say he never lost his small-town values. He served in the Navy, and friends say Perot always wanted to give back to our country and community.
He was almost like a force of nature.
Ross Perot was a North Texas icon. Tom Luce became a close friend and served as the successful businessman's attorney for 45 years. Perot created Electronic Data Systems, or EDS, before selling it to General Motors, and later built Perot Systems in Plano.
He really helped create the information age, which led to the Bill Gates of the world, the Steve Jobs of the world, the Michael Dells of the world.
Perot also shook the political world, and in 1992 became the most successful independent presidential candidate in modern times. He focused much of his campaign on Washington's runaway spending.
I said it's like a crazy ant in the basement. Everybody knows she's there, but nobody talks about it.
Russell Verney served as a senior political advisor to Perot's 1992 campaign and was his campaign manager when he ran again in 1996.
Ross was as clear-spoken and clearly understandable. He brought things down to the level that everyone could understand.
SMU presidential historian Jeffrey Engel is writing a book about the 1992 presidential election and says with 19% of the vote, Perot used his experience as a self-made businessman very effectively.
And that really helped Americans consider for the first time in generations having somebody who was not a career politician in office.
Tom Luce became overcome with emotion when discussing one of Perot's passions, making sure injured members of the military receive the best health care possible. Top military brass and former soldiers came to Dallas in 2004 to honor him.
His motto was he wanted to make sure every wounded soldier got the same health treatment that his son would have gotten.
And Luce said Perot and his wife Margot had a remarkable relationship and that the Perot family is very close. They all just celebrated his 89th birthday together 12 days ago, June 28th. Live in Dallas, Jack Fink, CBS 11 News.
Jack, thank you so much. And perhaps one of the greatest impacts Ross Perot had on his lifetime was as a philanthropist. He was beloved in this community all across North Texas. He did so much, and some of it you're never going to hear about. But Ken Molestine is joining us now with those who have benefited from his generosity and the words from them, remembering this icon. Ken?
Yeah, a lot of the things he did it low-key. Doug, as you mentioned, he was quiet about some of his philanthropy, but clearly there are many people left with heavy hearts today because of his death. Some we spoke with today knew him very closely. Others tell us they treasure those small anecdotes they have involving Mr. Perot. It's perhaps the most recognizable tribute to Ross Perot and his family during his life, and now in his death, the Perot Museum of Nature and Science in Dallas exemplifies the philanthropy the self-made billionaire stood for and encouraged.
I think we've lost a visionary leader, someone who is really inspiring. He cared a lot about this community, the city of Dallas.
Visitors to the museum told us they appreciate his efforts to draw young minds into science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM. They also told stories of how they'll best remember him.
He was the first person that I voted for when I was 18. I voted for him for president, and that was my first presidential vote. So he always holds a special place in my heart for that reason.
Stephen Brewster says he'll always remember a quick interaction he had with Mr. Perot years ago during a visit to his office.
Introduced himself to me and said, "Hey, are y'all enjoying your time here?" Took a second to talk.
It was that friendly demeanor that his barbers and his friends over at the Preston Forest Barbers in North Dallas say they'll miss most. This was the place he came to for routine haircuts since the late 1960s. As of the last few years, Paul Johnston was his personal barber.
And he looked at you and said, well, is this supposed to be like this?
He says he was very particular about his haircuts, and he loved the camaraderie and the candid conversations at the barbershop.
I asked him years ago, when I first started cutting his hair, Mr. Perot, you are going to retire. And he looked at me and said, retirement's death. You'll know when I'll be retired because I'll be dead. He's retired now.
Well, Paul Johnston says he cut Mr. Perot's hair last just a couple of weeks ago. He told us since his health began failing recently, he would go to Mr. Perot's office to cut his hair, something he didn't do for any other client. Gilma?
Thank you, Ken. Texas oilman T. Boone Pickens shared his thoughts today on Perot's passing, saying in part, quote, he was underestimated much of his life and leaves behind a larger-than-life legacy. He epitomized all that is great about America. Humble beginnings and a great work ethic are stepping stones to incredible success. For other notable voices offering tributes to Ross Perot, you can head to our website, cbsdfw.com. You can also find a detailed look at his life and career accomplishments.